Good evening. I call this regular market board I start. We will start with our scheduled open hearing. The inhabitants of the town of Newmarket are hereby notified that pursuant to NHSA 19820C, the Newmarket School Board will hold a public hearing on planned expenditure of funds, the insurance and benefits expendable trust for the amount of $134,300, and the school technology expendable trust fund for the amount of $60,000. Additionally, we plan to expend a total of $169,700 to replace two sections of the roof at the uh, senior high school, with funding split between the school repair and maintenance trust and the school and capital reserve. This hearing is required under NHRSA 19820. Any public comment? 517. Commenters? I would close it also. Now open floor to comments as public. 3 minutes item.
Oh, sorry.
Public comment on any agenda items?
Agenda or on budget?
Oh, did you want to speak on the budget?
No,
Oh, on the agenda.
no.
Yeah,
The
Sorry.
agenda.
Mike.
Oh,
sorry.
I just want to thank the one. I think they were sold out all. But club. Work. Track.
thank you.
Thank you. 40 Valley. Thank you.
Close public comment at 5:19. Up is public correspondence. Word.
Nope.
I did receive correspondence from a community member commenting on the. I did receive a piece of correspondence from a community member commenting on a staff member, how wonderful that staff member has been, talking about wanting to honor that person. Okay.
I'm not sure if this is, can you hear me? Because I did someone who said that they watched the Channel 8, but they can't hear us because of the mic. So hopefully this will, but I can tell now that I'm on, so I guess maybe we have to hold the mics closer to us and make sure that our voices carry.
Committee up.
Um, Liz couldn't be at the professional development committee meeting last week, so I attended in her place. We reviewed the professional development that was done for the summer, or excuse me, in March, and just went through some feedback from the staff. Very interesting, but good future PD ideas.
Thank you for reminding me that Liz Lee got excused from this meeting. She gave us permission to share that she is in Washington, D.C. with students in 97-degree heat. And Todd Allen is not able to be here tonight for this meeting, so our assistant superintendent, Patty Wands, is here. Any other committee updates?
This is going to be tricky. I have a policy update or a perspective update. The SB 101, the open enrollment bill, passed out of committee on Monday. It now will head to a floor vote in the House. And I'm hearing that there might be an amendment presented to have a study on this because there are more questions than there are answers, but it did not seem like they wanted to really discuss all everything that's going back and forth. So I don't know when that date for that will be, but if anybody could contact your representatives and weigh in on that, that would be helpful to have a study committee before this goes into effect. And also, if anybody read the Seacoast Online today, Portsmouth has a policy that they just passed on their board that would have 20 students come into the high school and 0.05 leave. And that's of their total enrollment. Now, that's one of the issues is they have percentages. So 0.01, 0.05 is 1.22 students. So it would be one student. Newmarket would be a one student, and Exeter would be two. So this is something that we'll have to be working on the policy committee because that's going to, even though they say it's not going to be in effect until September of 2027, we still have to prepare for anything. And another note, in the Merrimack Valley School District, which is Pennacook, Franklin, I believe Winnisquam, in that area around Concord, their superintendents, their districts just came into a consortium themselves to allow students to go to the other different schools for courses. So it's so that was done on their own. They didn't need a bill to do that.
Right, next up is our student representative report by Sawyer Hill.
Thank you. So I'll start off with sports. So softball had their first game on the 13th away at PCA. They ended up losing 2-1. And then their next game is tomorrow the 17th away versus Newt at 4 p.m. Baseball also had their first game on the 13th. That was at home versus Mount Pearl where they won 1-0. And their next game is also tomorrow the 17th away at Newt at 4 p.m. Track had meet yesterday at Winnicott. We have a new school record in the 3200 by Ben Patrick for the time of 10 minutes, 34 seconds, 11 milliseconds. And our next meet is the Sanborn Invite this Saturday at Sanborn at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Boys lacrosse had their first game also on the 13th at Oyster River Dover, where they lost 5-10. And then their next game, 20th away for Winnicott at 4 p.m. Girls lacrosse had their first game on the 15th versus Spalding, where they won 25-4. And their next game, also the 20th, at Oyster River at 4:30. Net Zero on May 10th posted a roadside cleanup. Last Wednesday, the 8th, students in second semester freshman seminar and some juniors went on a field trip to Great Bay Community College. There they took a tour of the facilities and learned about all the available programs they had. Today we actually had a speaker, uh, former Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court, Judge John Broderick, came to talk to middle and high school about mental health. He told his story and how his son had gone through some mental health struggles, and it was really powerful. And I think it was really important for a lot of them here. Um, Spring Fling is this Saturday, the 18th, from 7 to 8:30. Theme is Neon. And we have a new DJ, DJ Neto, who is extremely highly rated. So it should be a lot of fun and really good. Next week is Spirit Week. So Monday's theme is Neon. Tuesday's theme is Anything But a Backpack. Wednesday's theme is green and blue for Earth Day. Thursday is Plants vs Zombies. Friday is White Lie Day.
You know what? You know what you're gonna use instead of backpack, not tell us.
That'd
You
be a
know?
spoiler.
No, I just
Now it's there. The
I
student
just
studies watch.
just want to know if you decided.
I'm not entirely sure yet. um so next Wednesday on April 22nd, so on Earth Day, Net Zero is hosting a bike and walk to school day. So students who bike or walk to school get 2 tickets, one for free baked good for a bake sale that's happening that morning, and then one for an entry into a raffle for baskets filled with environmentally friendly goodies. And then this past Wednesday, so yesterday, the top 10 of the senior class were officially announced. So in no particular order, we had Avery Amata, Emma Crum, myself, Pierre Rochek, Magnolia Redmond, Cameron Smith, Emma Serena, CNEM, and then the salutatorian was Spencer Bozek, and the valedictorian was Kaya Dauberts.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Carry on.
That's all I have for you today.
Next up, next you won. Thanks.
Can you hear me okay? First of all, congratulations, Sawyer, for being listed within that top 10. Quite a notable achievement, and you must be proud. We're proud of you. And to piggyback off of Sawyer, which I think is always hard with Sawyer, but I'll do my best. I attended the middle school presentation of Chief Broderick. And if you haven't heard his story, it's just so powerful. And I really have to acknowledge our student body. I was at the middle school presentation this morning, and all of the students were so attentive and really, I think, understanding how important his message is, that we need to normalize mental health, that we need to speak up for our friends and go to a trusted adult if we're worried about our friend or maybe what our friend is going through, and that it's okay and that we shouldn't feel shame, should never be associated with mental health. And his story is incredibly powerful. But I would like to acknowledge Jody Callanan, our the director of school counseling, who organized this event. Um, she acknowledged and recognized one of the needs of our student body here. And it was just so well received by our students, and I want our community to know that I feel like our students understood, like Sawyer said, this important message. And so I just want to say thank you to the department and to our students. And so I just have a couple of things I thought I would share. One is Newmarket Elementary School was recently recognized with a number of other elementary schools in the state of New Hampshire by our commission. And so Sean Pine, the principal at the elementary school, received a communication along with Todd Allen, our superintendent, to make us aware that a number of elementary schools were selected by the state, the New Hampshire Department of Education, for the growth that they've seen in our literacy for our students. So what New Hampshire Department of Education, they're looking at that growth, not so much perfection, but growth leading to very positive outcomes for our students. And I know I've been saying to you that I've just been so proud of every single elementary teacher and staff and administrators at Newmarket Elementary School in the past 4 years that I've been here to really take on what is the science of reading? What does that look like in our classroom? And I just want to say that so many of the educators at the elementary school um, also registered for the letters training that was sponsored by the New Hampshire Department of Ed. And letters training is really looking at that science of reading at a more deeper level. But really, what do the instructional practices entail? What does explicit instruction look like when we're talking about phonemic awareness? And what do those lessons look like in the classroom? And it's because of the teachers' hard work. Yes, we did implement in our second year of a new literacy program, but I always say it's not the program, not the reading program that suddenly our students are doing so well in reading. It's our teachers. And it's the hard work and it's the effort that they've put in. What the program allowed us was structure and something that we all acknowledge that some of that was lacking in our K-5 classrooms in the um, consistency and the structure of what the components of literacy are and what are we teaching our children, because we want it to be equitable in terms of every child, K-5, will receive instruction that is common in terms of the standards that we're teaching. And also the program allowed us to really expose our children to rigor and help our students with um, stamina when reading a tough text. And what does that look like? When we use big words like text complexity, well, what does text complexity look like in a fifth grade classroom? And I think that all of that training and that exposure to rigorous, robust literacy and what our students deserve has just been so amazing and remarkable for me to see. And I was not surprised when the commissioner saw Newmarket Elementary School and wanted to let Principal Pine know that we see you, we see the progress your students have made. So as a result, what Sean had to do was respond to a survey. What the commissioner wants to know is what are all of these elementary schools around the state of New Hampshire doing that their students are making this progress, because we want to share that with other elementary schools that might struggle in the area of literacy. So Sean and I met and we responded to the survey and we talked about all of the different structures that we put into place to support our teachers. And a part of that too is implementing the school growth that started 2 years ago. Um, Having a new mission and collective commitments among the staff. And what does that look like or transcend into the classroom? It's also the PLCs, which is an acronym for Professional Learning Communities, that every grade level has created a professional learning community where they look at student data, they look at student assessments, but they talk about their instructional practice. And what does that look like? And we call it teacher efficacy, which really means we have teachers talking to teachers. And we all know that when teachers talk to teachers, it improves our student outcomes. And that's what we're seeing with our students. So really proud moment I feel for Newmarket Elementary to have that recognition by the commissioner, and particularly for the staff and the students and their families for supporting their stuff. So that was pretty fun. Yeah, exciting. And then lastly, I want to speak to our junior, senior high school educators who have taken on such big tasks of with the implementation of the new 306s in the fall and what that looks like, and also taking on in a competency-based model, learning model, what does that look like? We are in our we're finishing tomorrow, our last group, where we're doing small sessions with educators that we find very much more impactful, just 3-hour sessions. So they're only out of the classroom for half a day, but they get that close professional development and support with our colleagues that we're working with from New Hampshire Learning Initiative, and that's Ellen Hume Howard, Kath White, and Ann Hadwin. And so tomorrow our ELA teachers will be working in the morning and in the afternoon. It's our STEM, family consumer science, world language, and PE. And They have written their competency statements, and the tough work that they're doing right now is they're looking at assessment. And we're looking at what do our assessments look like? How are we reporting out on competencies and standards? And words we're using is how do we validate assessments that they are rigorous, that we're looking at the depth of knowledge that our students are demonstrating. We want to get to that 3 and 4 where our students are analyzing, but they're also synthesizing, they're creating new ideas as a result of their learning. So that's hard work of really digging through all of those assessments. So I want to give my thanks and gratitude to the junior, senior high teachers who are working diligently at within their own curriculum.
No, not at all. I I I echo what you're saying about creating assessment. As simple as it might seem, making sure that your assessment actually assesses what the learning that is happening is a very difficult task. How
Mm,
do you know that students learn
right.
what you wanted them to learn? Um,
Yeah.
so I hats off to teachers as well. It's hard work.
For your question, I wanted to ask if he was giving his report,
Yeah.
but I forgot. When you talk about going to Great Bay Community College, do any of the high school students here go there for um, college credits or anything? Do you know?
So I think a few students go to the college, but I know, including myself, a lot of people take online classes
Uh-huh.
through Great Bay Community College. I can't, yeah, but I can't think of anyone.
But you
Is-
but you can enroll there even if it's online and then
Yeah,
what are you taking?
I'm taking a U.S. history.
Know that. Yeah, know what you're gonna have in back. Got it.
Um,
All right. Moving on to discussion item. The first one, exciting one. Our business administrator, Bryant Lee, is going to report on the third quarter financial.
Refer to the yeah. So now that we're here, the forecast end of the year, I would relatively give our Q2 numbers, Q3 numbers more accurate, and we can find for the remainder year more and more precise. So if you look at the expenditures, our first, we'll have some budget savings in some areas. So looking at page 2 and 3 of the report, drivers major variance seeing in the expenditure, they're still the same as they were in Q2. Of course, there's the which is the single biggest thing. Also in salaries and benefits, shift or we also have some savings. Seven staff there's one social work adult right there. And we also built so this payroll buffer first health and full would find on the operational side, approximately 240 staff is being used in budget professional service only currently for also positively affecting our budget is audit efficiencies. They're coming in significantly lower than budgeted. We're expecting about 90,000 enrollment, 300. We are anticipating our student fee, which may reduce 100,000. All other budget categories, namely you expect spending Q4, but should so summing that all up, I don't
You know what? Please.
Killer. Right. Continue on.
so as of March 31st, the general fund showed a surplus of $1.1 million. Factoring in anticipated expenditures for the rest of the year, still conservative estimate of the unexpected balance expenditure would be about $800,000. If there's no questions, I'll continue. Food service, I would say there's nothing significant of note. Say about food service, you can see the numbers on page, but otherwise I'll discuss that one. For revenues, for local revenues, we expect to have 82,000 more than what was budgeted. This is from 2 hours placement into Newmarket at tuition. Also, earnings on investments are higher, and some miscellaneous local revenue as well. Special education aid was 30% higher than what was budgeted, extra $90,000. On the negative side, adequacy aid is coming in at 31,000 less than what we budgeted, and I expect Medicaid to be slightly lower than what we budgeted. But overall, netting everything together, a conservative estimate of revenue surplus is at that extra 125,000. And that I'm pretty confident in that because you unlock the picture. Additionally, we may get their night and year Okay, so moving on to impact fees. Board has approved uses so far totaling 50,000. One is for upgrades that will expand electrical capacity in classrooms. The other one you approved recently for feasibility study on a potential athletics field and track on school. Overall, this is 234,000 remaining total impact fees available. And none of which will expire. And
Fixed it.
I
Is that-
I don't know if Mike's working anymore. It is. Okay, so
What did you say? Now I forgot. What was the
the
last
impact-
thing you said?
yeah, so 6,000 approved by you all this year. One was to expand the electric capacity in classrooms, and the other is for a feasibility study for a potential athletics field and track across the street. Yeah, so overall, we have 234,000 remaining in impact fees, and none of that will expire before the end of
We're at 2028.
Okay, so moving on to the trust funds, I did not have March number. Overall, 0.8 million. You can take a look at the table on page 8. This is down from a beginning balance on July 1st last year of 2 million. This is a net result of 265 coming in from last year's warrant articles, combined with 526,000 trust fund usage that has been approved by the school board that we spent this year. I was actually expecting to have to present a bit more on the free transfers, the hearing, but there's no questions on that night, and I don't need to do that. But maybe I'll pause here if you have any questions. 'Cause I think you still have to vote on it.
Could briefly move. I
Sure.
think we're but
Yeah. So there's 3 transfers. I'll go for each of them one. The first is 134,300 from the Insurance Benefits Trust Fund. This was planned before the end of the school year, and this was basically to help offset the school care mid-year assessment, which in total was 418,000. And you already know the backstory, but basically, school care required this assessment because they had exhausted their reserves. This was from consecutive years of higher than expected medical claims. This was a surprise to all school care members, so this wasn't budgeted for. The current fund has $134,305, so that transfer would leave only a handful of dollars left in the fund. But the town voted from warrant article 5 to put another $150,000 next year coming from the unassigned fund balance. Any questions on that one? The second one is 60,000 coming out of the school technology trust fund. This is to help offset the cost of purchasing network equipment next year. This won't come out until fiscal year 2027. Jason plans to purchase a couple of network switches and some wireless access points. And this planned use of the trust fund money was factored into the 26-27 budget development process, and it enabled the IT department to come in at the target established by the school board and the budget increase for next year. Any questions on that? Okay, and then the last one was 169,700 total, with funding split between the two school repair capital reserve funds. This is to replace 2 sections of the roof in this building. It's part of the 20-year capital improvement plan. The amount represents the full contract awarded to a firm called Academy Roofing, which was awarded the bid to do the work. This withdrawal will fully deplete the money in the school repair maintenance fund currently has $104,000. Any balance shortfall will be covered by the school improvement capital reserve. Currently has 995,000. That would leave a remaining balance of 929,000. And we would recommend that a warrant article be placed in next year's annual district meeting to close out the school repair maintenance fund. It serves basically the same purpose as the school improvement capital reserve. It's duplicative. And then as a reminder, the town voted to pass warrant article 6 to replenish the school improvement capital reserve with $100,000. That will help us keep up with the capital. So those are the three trust funds transfers that are proposed. Even if you approve them, we don't necessarily have to go through with it. So there's some flexibility. I'll just say one thing about the yield. This is the interest earned on these funds. So from July to February, the average return was 4.7%. That was a total gain of $9,000. In quarter three, the average monthly return has been 7.9%. This is significantly higher than 1.5% we got in quarter two. So I don't know what that tells us, to be honest, in terms of interest rate expectations for going forward, other than there's potential for a lot of um, yeah, a lot of uncertainty. Okay, so my last point is just on the fund balance. From page 9 on the report, I created a table. It shows the allowable range for retained fund balance for fiscal year 26. This depends on the retention percentage selected by the school board. The amount retained last year was $856,843. That represented 3.75% that year's net assessment. The equivalent of 3.75% in this year's net assessment would be $1,015,000. Well, I've tried to estimate what the unassigned fund balance will look like at the end of the year based on current assumptions and the most updated financial forecasts. The one huge benefit this year is we had restricted fund balance left over from the capital fund that will be applied to our bond payments this year. That is freed up $215,651. If we go through with the plan transfer from the insurance benefits trust, that will be another $134,500. Add back in the $856,000 from last year's retained fund balance. Add in the forecasted revenue surplus of $135,000 and the forecasted budget surplus of $850,000. Assuming a retained fund balance deduction of 3.75%. That's slightly over $1 million. And we need to appropriate $150,000. That was voted warrant article number 5 going into the health insurance expendable trust. The current forecasted fund balance at the end of the year is slightly over $1 million. So, in summary, the overall financial picture is I think we're in good shape heading into the last quarter of the year. I think this forecast provides you with some flexibility for a range of financial strategies. You have levers at your disposal, the retained fund balance, as well as what to do with the trust funds that we can present to you options to consider every month. All things considered.
So thank you, first of all, Brian, for taking something that is. Can you hear me? Um,
You might just turn these speakers down.
Okay.
It might be yours.
I'll talk loud.
Upstairs.
First of all, thank you for making something that is not easy to digest very clear, understandable for me. Speak first. When you say flexibility, theoretically, because we're in such a different space for the better, hypothetically, we wouldn't necessarily have to train in order to stay steady with the amount of back and a
Basically, based on they
not necessarily have to have
for the budget surplus. You think it's just because of your kind of more conservative nation here, or fundamentally a little bit?
The main drivers are fundamentally the same. We expected a lot of savings from tuition, and that we knew about the SAS grant saving. I was more conservative because we didn't know whether we would fill the vacant positions. Um, I tried to be a bit conservative in terms of spending with 6 months to go. Now that we only have 3 months to go, be more conservative with that. And the number where it actually end up. And I'll be doing this exercise monthly at the end of the year. Every month should have in the number.
Yeah, I guess those we start really differently about the budget, or do we just fortuitous year? How do we kind of sounds
Yeah, I guess I would recommend you think about the targets you want to hit in terms of down in terms of reduction in the tax rate, as well as what you want to put into the retained fund balance for next year. Something I will say is that I think um, the uncertainty of many different things, given current events, is unprecedented in my lifetime. I would say we don't know what's going to happen with the energy market. We don't know what's happening with inflation, and then any contingencies you can build in would help. Thank you.
I think that was played on a bit about in his age. Um, has been unprecedented. Maybe a tiny bit remember, but um, yeah, I guess I think the same way is how do we take on lock them away for a rainy.
Hmm.
Obviously, main tool we have. Definitely. Whether or not um earlier you said, if I heard you correctly, that we can vote on transfer tonight. So even if we approve, if you bring that goes back and forth then at a later date, transfer was needed.
Yeah, we would present that option to you, and you. I
We just given an additional. Thank you.
The other, the other thing I think we have to think about too is federal funds and state funds comes back. Do we keep getting cuts? Get, do we get some flush cash, or, we don't know what's gonna happen in those respects either.
Yes, fine.
yeah, no, I was
You
just
say,
saying
what decisions do you need from us? Any?
Yeah, so I don't actually know how that public hearing was. There is a vote.
Yeah, so we'll vote. Well, we'll vote on it at the end. Part of it.
On the agenda.
Oh, was it not?
Might be under action item. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, so with time constraints, the health insurance invoice needs to be paid. The time the fees. That's the only has some time considerations. The other two are back to the year.
You meet your timeline, be the next Thursday meeting.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait longer than early May.
I mean, excuse me. We can vote on it. When they are.
So can we on it?
Done. I guess it's back. Meeting, but we can pay it.
You
Oh, we've already opened and closed the hearing? Sorry.
What would be the benefit of waiting until the 1st of May first? The next.
Probably just give us a tiny bit more time to consider what to do for alternatives. But
But we can approve. Correct. It would just be approving the ability.
No, I trust Frank. Exercise some forethought here, and if it seems like it makes sense to bring it back to us, to bring it back. Otherwise, be able to pivot. I don't see why we should, keep Jack, for lack of a better phrase.
So yeah, we'll vote on.
And I won't do anything.
Yep. I have.
Grant.
All right. The next item for discussion is about setting up our summer schedule. Typically we have only one meeting in the month of July. So we had talked about taking it away from the week of the 4th of July and more towards the middle. So talk about the 9th or the 16th.
They both work.
that I think
I personally would just prefer the middle one in the sense that it really feels like the middle of the month.
And me.
And then in
All of
August, it would be then follow in August we go back to the first third, assuming that that's what we wanted to keep for the 26th, 27th year.
I'm with 6.
I can look at Sawyer, but we don't need to know. No? You'll
you
be
get
at,
back, you may
you'll
want
be
to.
at University of Maryland.
I'll show.
Top 10 status.
We know was.
Did you also want to?
Yeah, I was just waiting. Yeah. Going ahead, agenda item. Okay. That work for you, Kath?
Yeah.
The 16th, okay. And then we're keeping first and third Thursdays. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
The other scheduling item is about the high school awards night on June 4th. We need to talk about moving the board meeting essentially to an earlier time for those who attend, or perhaps moving the date of our board meeting. Which I don't love that idea, but
I can do I.
Same. I prefer the 4:30 on the 4th.
yeah,
I can do I.
okay. Right, 4:30 it is. So that is the June 4th regularly scheduled school board meeting. Will start at 4:30, and that will be posted. No change. Yep. And Sawyer will be there. Oh yeah, he will be at the awards ceremony. Um, all right. You- Oh, do what you need to do. Thank you, Sawyer.
Good luck. Congrats again.
Yes, Sawyer.
Congrats. Are we gonna replace? Okay. Next up are two MOUs with the Newmarket Police Department. They are about having an SRO at each school resource officer at school. That's the first one, and that I believe the police department pays the salary of one, the district pays the salary of the other. And then the second MOU about the um, school camera is just authorizes the Newmarket PD to access our school camera should they um, need to in an emergency. So, if anybody had any? Yep.
I have okay. So on the first one, just the agreement on having the SROs. Um, typographically, first and foremost, we've got like the apostrophe s as though they're possessive in a lot of cases where it doesn't need to be possessive. So we should probably fix that. And then there's one where maybe it's supposed to be an S apostrophe, or maybe it is apostrophe S. I don't know if we're referring to two SROs at the very end of the document where it says the SRO's schedule and assignment. School is not in session, will be determined by the police chief. That one might be right. I just don't know how many SROs that first case. That's the small potato stuff. What I really concerns me in this is two statements when they're tied together. The first one's from the top section, and it says the SRO, as an employee of the Newmarket Police Department, is indemnified for loss or damage arising out of either intentional or negligent acts or omissions. That, when paired with the SRO will wear department issued duty weapon or weapons in accordance with Newmarket police policies, gives me concern because that seemingly says with their weapon in hand that something could happen in school and damage or loss could be incurred at their hand, even intentional, and we're indemnified. And that just feels dangerous. Not with the police force that we have right now necessarily, but we don't know the police force that shows up a week from now, a month from now. Like we don't know how that might change over time, and so I worry about having them being completely indemnified for intentional acts and acts of negligence where maybe we wouldn't allow a regular person to be indemnified if they had acted so.
So, I presume it's been
Yeah.
reviewed by the legal group. MOU we do annually. Um, we're indemnifying them personally. Not that they wouldn't be held legally accountable if they become or engage in activities as the police game first hypothetically couldn't maybe if someone was spoke it break it sort of thing. Or we could ask Todd, Patty, see if this has been viewed by an attorney.
I don't doubt the intent. I worry about the edge case. That and that's all. Sure. The other question I have over the camera is just simply I know it says that there's a record of logins. It also says though that they're supposed to test in every single day or test by logging in every single day. So what sort of a session are they logged in for? If are they able to log in at the beginning of the day and then they're just logged in and so they can see all day long every day? How does that work?
I'm excited about that. My understanding is they are not they turn on in health and then police department notified, emergency bureau, press, whatever. Uh, and of course, have access to all the access. They are not.
Okay. Okay.
It does say change it there because of the business,
Exactly. The logging in part, so that in the event, all police department logging in, that's not doing.
Well, then that raises a further question. Do we also have access logs for when they look at the cameras, not just when they log in? Because there's nothing about that in this document. So,
Like,
okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I do think I would have to clarify with Todd, but commenting on if something happened in the parking lot, that they have to give the superintendent of to give access to or permission to access to see the footage.
Okay.
Uh,
or that
mhm.
You know how long they work?
I mean, police department.
Yeah, or even here in the
It looks like we're tasked with maintaining the server on our side, so it would probably be all right. I
yeah.
guess that's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other uh, I feel I did my grammar radar beat with knowing I had lots of things to say.
Probably.
All right. The next item of discussion um, about our school board goals. So, looking at our school board goal brainstorm from the street on the 11th, seems to come down to um, four, five, five goals.
Mhm.
And did need to think about if thoughts on any of them changing them, um, impacting them, fewer, not. Certainly, we can have time to review we to refine the uh, final copy. Not right
sure.
off.
It seems like for them could be well, some of the goals are need more. And I student activity.
To appreciate and as well on I don't others. So I were make came up
Yeah, I like what we've done. Wouldn't mind in a couple weeks moving with this meeting with kids.
feedback.
With this, is this on Google Doc? Share, give when an
I think we can do that. Must do the meeting.
oh
Even if
Could make it okay. Way night. Thing at the yeah. How was way night? Good. A lot of
I like
and then elementary school Newmarket first. I we're already like well, okay. You did. You tried. Bling. For weekend. April vacation. Cool. On May 1st. So there, I'm sure. And community members will be what school buses you'll get. Okay. Do that. So I would motion to the April 2nd board meeting.
I'll move his um one knows there's inadvertent
Oh,
Mel's or meant
those in
I
favor? Okay. School board great with
That would approve it.
those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to propose a motion that we approve the manifest in the amount of $716,000, I'm sorry, $716,733.00. It equals 2026.
Right pass. Carry all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
can I add more things?
Leave. We have here's all
So first, make sure. Uh, no, very about Elfar. Other fire is east. Uh, uh, also part part and arrow will um workers then last is Lindsay. Well, uh, current quite a if someone's been more really yeah, that's right. Yeah. Shin. Move. Move.
Second.
Second. In favor?
Aye. Speakers say aye.
We also two to approve. Uh,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And, uh, field. That'd be great. right? Center for wildlife. Okay. Right. And read paragraph of it. Use it. Like, all those in favor of approving these sales tax names, say aye. Aye. Do that would equal to approve the ability to make transfers from this outline. Those in favor?
Aye.
Are conflict meeting to RSA 1A. May 15th to or to now. Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
Like
Second.
second by at 27. Like, oh, roll call vote. Kathy? Aye. Good.
Aye.
That at 68. Going to stop.